Hello, good vach, everyone. And one of this amazing parsha. Obviously, all of them are amazing. Parshas Baal Shemtov, with so many incredible things that happen. Moshe Rabbeinu and Miriam and Haran and amazing stuff. Let's take first of all, we're talking about Sipurey Baal Shemtov, as we always start with Hashem. It's a Baal Shemtov on Simcha. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not send suffering, chas v'chalila, on a person unless he first of all bring upon him depression first. This is an amazing, amazing, amazing revelation. Kadosh Baruch Hu does not bring suffering to anyone unless he first of all smites him with depression, which means that when a person is feeling depressed, he should fight it off any way, shape, or form that he can. And we've spoken about it many times before, that the first line of defense against depression is thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the first thing. There are many things, there are many reasons why this is the first line of defense. First of all, because a lot of I would say over to 99% of all the problems in a person's life stem from the fact that he's not thinking about HaKadosh. He's not bringing HaKadosh Baruch Hu into his life, into that situation. The minute you bring HaKadosh Baruch Hu into the situation, 99.99% of all the problems are solved. Because when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there, then once you bring him in, there's no need to shake your heart, to wake you up, to call your attention. An Israeli singer that sings and says, what is the tachlis of this ke'ev except to shake up my lev, to awaken my heart, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The minute that you feel that you're sinking into depression, the first thing to do is give thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And say it again, and say it again, and say it again, say it again, and say it again, and say it again, and say it again. As many times as it takes. Then you start talking to Kadosh Baruch Hu about it. Then you tell him how you feel. And you thank him again for that. That's the first thing. The second thing is that even psychologically, people suffer. I'm not saying feeling pain. Suffering and feeling pain are two different things. Pain is objective, You stick a person with a needle, it hurts as much as sticking with a needle hurts. That's it. Suffering is the pain that a person feels due to the fact that, well, I'm feeling pain in my life. I mean, what's the deal with that? It's all messed up. That's where the suffering comes in, which means suffering is optional. Depression comes from, is the roadway to suffering. Because ultimately, depression is the result of a lack of a goal. If you have a goal, you're not depressed. But the goal has to be real. Not something that you feel obliged to, really obliged to. If you are, then there's no depression. People can have hard time getting up in the morning. Okay. But the minute, somebody from the police is telling you, listen, you have to be at the station at 8 o'clock in the morning. Chances are by 6 o'clock, 6:30, you're already up. You are by, 7 o'clock minion, you finished, and you'll be there at 8 o'clock. Hey, but what happened to your problems of getting up in the morning? Yeah, because I didn't have something that forces me to do that. I don't have a goal. I don't have a goal that I am obligated to. That's where the problem is. Goals that, I'd like it, or it's optional, or whatever it is, do not bring you, they will not bring a person out of depression. Now, the thing is that, that people make a resolution. They said most people New Year's resolution lasts at the most until the middle of February. The reason for it, it's not a joke. It's not putting people down. That's not what it's about. The point is that if you make a resolution and you have to wake up to keep that resolution every single day anew. That's what basically you need to do in Avodas Hashem. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But to pull together all the emotional and spiritual reservoirs, to be able to decide anew every single day, is very difficult. The trick is actually not to try, because only in trying to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because there you have to wake up each and every time to start from zero. That's fine. But try is a dirty 3-letter word that leads to a dirty 5-letter words, which is guilt. And that leads to depression. That's finished. Nothing what to do. The trick is to change the system around that forces you into behaving the way you wish to behave without having to decide each time all over again, as much as you can. Let's say a person lives in a house and he wants to lose weight. Move the office to the top floor. The bathroom is in the ground floor. You'll be going up and down the stairs 6 times a day. Let's say, a person, wants to wake up early in the morning to daven in a certain minyan. Obligate yourself, obligate yourself to wipe, to sweep the floor of the Besmedrash every single day before the Mispalim come. Get it. Get a job doing it. But they'll pay you. The minute they pay you, you have to show up. They don't pay, you're being a nice guy. Okay, you're a nice guy. Sometimes you're being a nice guy. Sometimes, I'm not, no, you didn't feel well, this, that. When you're getting paid, you'll show up. When people count on you, you will show up. What it does is it takes away the need to redecide, to reapply willpower again every time anew. We already have something that we have to rekindle and restart every single day, and that's the service to Hashem. This is the way it works. You have to start from zero every single day. Everything else is doable. What you need to do is just make yourself a system that will get you to behave the way that you want to behave without having to use willpower every single day. And then it becomes a habit, it becomes easier. The second and the third, whatever you want to call it, perspective on this vote of the Baal Shemtov is the state of Yisurim, Lo Aleinu V'Lo Aleichem, is a state of dinim, a state of judgment. When a person is in a state of judgment, it can very easily, go downhill really fast. When a person is, first of all, more choyodik, a person starts, more choyodik, what's more choyodik is basically, you're upset with Kodesh Baruch Hu. I mean, you're not saying it, chas v'chalila, what do you think we take me for, blah, 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 whatever, but tachlis, you're upset with Kodesh Baruch Hu, why are you doing this to me? This is what it's about. That means that you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu keviyachol, as it were, have turned away from one another. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu hides his face from you, it's hard enough. Don't face away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu as well. You feel that depression comes upon you. That means the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is darkened by you. The first thing to do is give thanks. When you thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the depression, for the sad, that you're going through, whatever it is you're going through, give thanks for that, not just for all the good stuff. You need to give, thanks for all the good things that happen to you. Of course, you need to do that. But for the difficulty that you're experiencing right now, thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for that. Because that in itself is sweetening judgments of you. If I do that, I'm sweetening the judgments of me, and therefore it doesn't have to slide into chas v'chalila yisurim. Rav Nosson Bechlal advises that every person, every now and then, should accept upon himself a tainus, a day of tainus. I'm not saying that a chas v'chalila, I'm not saying the person should, go into, a regimen of tanis. We're not talking. That's not for our generation. That's not for our buzz. We'll never. But every now and then, and he says, if you do that, you have no idea how much suffering, how much bitter and harsh suffering it saves you from. Let's see here. So the Baal Shemtov says, "Yira without simcha is marshchayim." What an amazing insight! It says it is not fitting to torture oneself about avodas Hashem, how to serve Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Just always, always, always be b'simcha. We spoke about it on Thursday night at great length. You should know that you are bevadai good. Yes, as Ara says, what are you talking about? You're bevadai good. Look, you don't do this, and this you don't do, and this you do halfway, you do this, you do that. That's his job. Yeah, what about the good stuff that I do? Well, don't worry about the good stuff. The good stuff is already in the bank. You worry about the bad stuff. That is Yetzer Hara. You are definitely good. What about the bad stuff? Do tshuva. What do you mean? How much tshuva should I do? Just on the spot, do tshuva and move ahead. You're connected to the tzaddik. It already ameliorates whatever, he already does a tshuva, whatever it is that needs to be done, he does for you. It's like getting to America, you have to sit on an airplane. I mean, you can get to America, start walking. I mean, how long is it going to take you? There's no way you're going to do that. You have to use a vessel. You have to use an airplane. If you get into an airplane, you get an airplane. Within 12 hours, you're there. That airplane that gets from point A to point B is the tzaddik. You connect to the tzaddik, you get to where you need to get. You do, but you have to do your part. You have to buy the ticket, you have to go to the airport, you have to get on a plane. You have to connect to the tzaddik, you have to be motivated, to do this and to do the tshuva, whatever it is on your own, and just move ahead. Now, the thing is that this is, how sometimes, people have a wound or in a hand or whatever it is, and then it like passes. So people like touch the place to make sure if it still hurts. Do you know that? I don't know if you have this kind of Yetzer Hara. The same thing is with to look down upon myself and to see what is wrong with me. Every once in a while I look back. I look back to make sure that I'm still bad, that I'm still. Don't do that. Yeah, but I have to. No, you don't. But it feels so unsafe. It's like, move ahead. That's it. Yes. Mashiach was saying an amazing thing. It doesn't befit. It's not a fitting thing to serve a Kodesh Baruch Hu more shredik. This was the King of Kings. His Melech, he wants to bestow goodness on everyone. What kind of? It's not befit to to serve to serve Kodesh Baruch Hu with marshchaya. What is this? You listen to Putin marshchaya, or to Nasrallah, or whoever it is. This marshchaya, Kodesh Baruch Hu. You have a gewaltige opportunity and fortune, an amazing chance and privilege to serve Kodesh Baruch Hu. Do it b'simcha. You feel being pulled down. That's the Yetzer Hara. That's the Yetzer Hara. Don't do it. It'll pull you to depression. Depression leads to suffering. Don't do that. Because when a person is depressed, the entire world becomes one big lump of suffering. Then, when a person is in such pain, when he allows things to become so painful, it becomes so overwhelming that a person feels it's justified to do anything in order to save himself from this pain. That includes using substances, watching things he shouldn't watch, or whatever it is. the road to perdition. Don't go there. Thank you. Rabbeinu says that's the hardest of all the things in Avodas Hashem is to make yourself b'simcha, because the instinct is, but I'm bad, but I'm wrong. Let's take a quick look at Sichos Haran for this week. Just a second. Here we go. (180). Rav Nosson says, one time, Rabbeinu Zchon told me that today he has seen a new angel and he knows his name. And underneath that angel, there are sub-angels that have shofars in their hands. And they are blowing tkiyah. And afterwards, trua. And afterwards, they make tkiyah. And they all dig and looking after lost and found, because a lot of things got lost. Mivchinas Taivas Rishonim Tevid. Taivas Rishonim Tevid is Rishon Tevis Taf, Reish, Taf. Is Tkiya, Trua, Tkiya. Yachbaru v'yavedim. They dig and they lose. Sometimes the tzaddik himself, said Rabbeinu, that is looking after the Avedas, is looking after the things that were lost, who be'atzmoi oived lefanim. He himself loses. Sometimes the tzaddik loses in his tzidkis. And then the tzaddik is doing tshuva on that particular chet, that through that chet, that causes a person to lose the Avedas. The Vadai, the tzaddik doesn't have that particular chet mamash, but it's just like a little pgam, dak min adak, like a slight blemish. That causes people to lose. When it does tshuva shlema on this little damage that he did from that chet, then he repeats and he finds amazing, awesome Avedas. And when he finds them, becomes a tremendous simcha, tremendous rash. And Rabbeinu says that then that it's very difficult to be mekabel, to be somehow a receiver. Somebody who lives off others or whatever it is, or is, living on svelka or whatever. And he says, and the way that it seems, Rabbi Nosson says, it seems like when a person is a mekabel, let's say a person lives off something or someone, so mazik or poigim be'inyan avedis, it makes it's not good for that inyan of avedis. Shaldeza ba'im avedis. He says this is the thing in itself that brings about losing things. We'll talk about what it is. That's the way it seems to me from Rabbeinu. It says that Dvarim Stumim, these words are sealed and absolutely amazing and awesome. And look in Likuti Tanina, Likuti Maran, talks about Kavonas Elul, that it's Mesugel to B'gam Bris, and the end of fruits that weren't totally cooked, because everything is one with this, and this is what I heard specifically from his holy mouth, and none of us know how far these things reach. As usual, we're just, through a nuclear bomb, Avedis. Every time a person could do something and doesn't do it, he loses an opportunity. When a person does Averis Bevada, he loses. And Rabbeinu here, is alluding to the fact that it all basically stems from the inyan of Gamabris, the lack of holiness. And he says that each person according to his madrega, some people mamash do averis lo aleinu, so they need to get themselves on their feet altogether. But every person, according to how distant he is from the true Kedusha, this is how, when he's confronted with situations that bring about that particular craving. You could sit eating with a family at a table. If you're on a table, there might be women there. So, yeah, but it starts to confuse a person. You have to eat with others. If you have to eat with others, you have to sit around the table. You cannot tell them, listen, I don't want your wife to sing, or I don't want your wife to look like this, or whatever. You're not in a position to be dictating what's going on. You're a receiver. You're a makabel. Then you started fighting with yourself. Should I look? I shouldn't look. And I looked, I didn't look, and then I shouldn't think. Then you look, and then you start thinking, whatever. And a person is pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled. Sometimes you have no choice. You have to be makabel. Sometimes you have to be put in a situation where, so you do whatever it is that you can. But remember, this is the thing that brings about Avedis. All the Avedis are to be found by the main department of lost and found by Rabbeinu HaKadosh in Uman. Which he says, people come in Rosh Hashanah to the tzaddik to get that which they lost. Tzaddik checks them to see that they are not liars. What does it mean? It means it's like an Aveda. You have to check. Somebody says, I lost this. You have to check them out. Give me signs. What do you lose? A watch? What kind of watch it was? What make? Blah, 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 blah. But over here, it's not, but the tzaddik knows that it is yours. What's up, shot to check that you're not a liar? The check is what the tzaddik ascertains what level of emes you are holding. And according to that, this is the kind of lost Avedas that he's giving back to you. He cannot give you Avedas that are not shayach to your madrega. He can't do that. There's no way. Because you lose it again. There's no, according to how much emes you are, this is the kind of Avedas that can give him back to you. And the thing is, not to get hung over this. You are in a situation where you see there's a temptation. The temptation to each one is what it means, a temptation. To some, temptation means to do something. To some, temptation is to look at something. To some, temptation is to say something. To some, whatever it is, it's your madrega. Fight for whatever it is you can. Put a stake on the ground. I'm not doing this. I'm not looking. I'm not talking. I'm not this. Whatever it is you can. It still hacks me a chinik. It still, knocks me in my head. Okay. You keep on doing tshuva. You wait. When that particular stain on your neshama is being rubbed off, then you can proceed, and you'll see that with this you don't have any problems anymore. Because that's the main inyan. That's the main of Kedusha is Yichud Kusha B'Chush Kintei. You have to be totally clean to be able to learn Kabbalah and with all these things that deal with these inyanim without having extraneous thoughts coming into a person's head. This can only be done when you're working on yourself and you're cleaning yourself. And don't sweat it. You're doing it. Each time you meet a challenge, you withstand the challenge the best as you can. You ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you realize, and I thought I was already out of it. Here I see, whoa, I'm very father. Come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ask him, talk to him about it. Everything is under control, except not yours. It's not your control, but it's under control. So, Bezat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us. Bezat Hashem, we're a gewaldige week. And Bezat Hashem will be Meschazek, Bezat Hashem this week, with tremendous simcha. state of, of depression by thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When things are the hardest, this is when you should thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I mean, I think when you thank him, I'm just mouthing, I'm just parroting. He doesn't just go on, repeat. Thank you. Suddenly your mind will go, yeah, thank you. You separate yourself from the problem, you see things in perspective, and eventually God is going to show you why this is the best thing for you. It will take time. Just HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yesh inyan, there is an inyan. Rabbeinu says, Shenepach HaKol Tov, everything turns over, comes out to be the best thing that ever happened to you. God should help us, B'ezrat Hashem. We'll see B'ezrat Hashem, Geula Shlema. I heard, I don't know how Feliclach is this, but they said that B'Shem, the Ben Ish Chai, I haven't seen the Ben Ish Chai saying that. I'm saying, I heard B'Shem the Ben Ish Chai, that they said that Mashiach, the longest time Mashiach can take until he comes from now is 17 years. 17 years because Yemei Mashiach, all the tikkunim that have to happen during the days of Mashiach takes 200 years. But 200 years means that's the last 200 years of the 6th millennium, before the 7th millennium. So the latest day that can come is 17 years from now. Not Hashem HaKadosh Baruch should help us, B'ezrat Hashem. That's like the furthest date. He can come earlier, of course, B'ezrat Hashem. B'ezrat Hashem Muzecha to Sigil Shleimo, B'yes Mashiach Tzidkenu, B'ezrat Hashem, Yimehera B'mino, Omein, B'ezrat Hashem. And let's, Baruch Hashem, we are the soldiers of the mightiest of the mightiest. Let's do it. Baruch Hashem, it's a gewaltige Sichos. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll see you Monday. B'ezrat Hashem, Sipurey Baal Shemtov. Bli neder.